What's up guys? Do you have a bent, broken, or worn out set of tie rods? Or maybe it's just time to upgrade? Well, SuperATV has the fix, and today we're gonna show you how to install our SuperATV billet tie rods. The first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and remove our front wheels and tires. Then we're gonna come out here to our tie rod end, take an 18mm socket, go ahead and remove it. Be able to pick right up on it. Just gonna go ahead and take my OEM hardware, slide it right back on there. Then we'll come right here to this clamp on the boot. Go ahead and pinch this clamp, slide it down. And we're gonna reach up in here and you're gonna feel that there's gonna be a zip tie in here. Sometimes you can pull your boot off without having to cut the zip tie. In this instance, we are gonna have to cut our zip tie off. And we'll just grab a hold of our boot, pull it down, just like this. Then we're gonna steer our wheel to where our inner ball and socket is out here a good ways to where we can get a hold of it. And then I like to take a pipe wrench and we'll just loosen the inner ball and socket. I like to use the pipe wrench because it bites it really hard. And a lot of times from the factory, these inner ball and sockets are really tight, very difficult to get loose. And then a lot of times you can get them loose enough to where you can grab a hold of your tie rod and then just spin them the rest of the way out. Ours is not that loose yet. Spin out this far, then we'll just go ahead and grab a hold of the tie rod like I previously stated. Unthread it. As you can see, it had Loctite on it there. So then we'll just take our factory tie rod, set it aside. You're just gonna repeat these same exact steps for the opposite side. So once you have all your tie rods removed, what you're gonna do is get in your tie rod kit, remove your inner ball and socket. It'll look just like this right here. It'll come with a nut on it here, a jam nut. You'll just want to take that jam nut off for the time being. We're going to get some blue Loctite and go ahead and apply it to the threads of the inner ball and socket. And we're just going to take our inner ball and socket and thread it right into the rack and pinion. I like to thread it in there as far as I can by hand. All right, so I've got it in there about as far as I'm going to be able to get it by hand. So then we're just gonna go ahead and take our pipe wrench, slide it in here. And just go ahead and fully tighten it. And you'll just wanna get this as tight as you can. Now what we're gonna do is go ahead and grab our boot. And on this side, you're gonna be using the big boot. So we will just take it, slide it over the stud, and then onto the rack. Kind of wiggle it around a little bit, make sure it gets fully seated on your rack. And then get it slid up the threads a good way. You want to slide the boot all the way back to this point right here so that your notch is exposed. And then just go around, make sure it's fully seated on the rack itself. Go ahead and take a zip tie, slide it over the boot, and you want to slide it all the way up in here until it's on the lip of your boot. Just go ahead and fully tighten your zip tie, just like that. We'll take the other zip tie, put it on this portion of the boot right here. Let's go ahead and get it cinched down as well, just like that. We'll cut off the excess. And we'll go ahead and we'll reinstall our jam nut. We'll grab the tie rod, and the side that says SuperATV is gonna need to go towards the outside. So we'll thread this side on. I like to thread it about halfway up or so. And we'll grab our tie rod end, as well as our jam nut for that. And this will be left-hand thread. Run this jam nut all the way up. thread it in. And then before we attach it to our steering arm, we're gonna wanna complete the opposite side. But I like to go ahead, put my tie rod misalignment stud in. We can go ahead and lay it on here, our tie rod, but we're not gonna leave it on there for long. We're just gonna use it to get our hardware situated. Get it all tightened up. Get your stud in here, get it lined up like that. I'll use a 19mm wrench and a 19mm socket. Let's go ahead and fully tighten it. So we got that lower portion tightened. Just want to go ahead and hammer on this a little bit. So we'll go ahead and grab one of our cotter pins that are provided in the kit, slide it through the stud, spin it away from itself like that. And we can go ahead and take this top nut off. As well as the tie rod. We'll just let the tie rod hang, then we'll go over to the opposite side and repeat the same exact steps. All right, so now we're gonna find the center line or the center position on the steering wheel. Once we've done that, we can go ahead and attach our tie rods. We just want to try to get everything as straight as possible. We will be setting the toe. I still like to get it set fairly straight before we set the machine down. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So once you have it set to where you like it, to where it looks pretty good, you're gonna wanna go ahead and fully tighten your hardware up. Make sure you get it nice and tight. And you'll take your cotter pin and slide it in. Just like that. And then we'll repeat the same steps for the opposite side. Then we're just gonna go ahead and reinstall our wheels and tires and set our machine back down on the ground. So now we've got our wheels and tires bolted back on, the machine sat on the ground. It's time to roll the machine out and get the suspension settled. We have Brian here helping us today. We're gonna roll it back and forth about 5 times. All right, so now that we've got it rolled out, the suspension settled, we're gonna come in here, make sure we get our wheel straight. I like to kind of work it side to side, then just make sure you find that good center point. Then what we're gonna do is take a tape measure. We're gonna take a measurement from the center line of this tire on the front of the tire to this tire on the front of the tire. So right there, we're right at 58.5. Then we'll do the same thing for the back side of the tire. And right there, we're right at 58.25. So we do have a little bit of adjusting to do. Primarily what you want to do is just get them about 0, and then you could toe them in an 1/8 inch, or you could set them at 0 depending on what your setup is. Once you've done that, you'll just go through, tighten your jam nuts. So that's all there is to it to install SuperATV's billet tie rods on this Polaris RZR Turbo. For more information on these billet tie rods or any of SuperATV's great products, feel free to give us a call or check us out online. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.